Imagine you are driving through a small town in rural America. You pass a Dollar General. Then, 11 minutes later, you pass another one. Then, a Dollar Tree. Then, another Dollar General. What you do not pass is a grocery store. The nearest one closed 2 years ago. This is not a coincidence, and it is not really about dollar stores being cheap. There is an economic mechanism behind it, one that is quietly reshaping where tens of millions of Americans can buy food. Economists and food access researchers have a name for what happens next. And the reason it is happening is not what you think. And here is the part that makes this story stranger than it looks. This is not actually new. It is an old idea wearing a new logo. A century ago, the American small town had its own version of this, the Five and Dime, Woolworths. A store built around one promise. Everything inside costs almost nothing. For decades, the Five and Dime was where small-town America bought its basics, right up until supermarkets and shopping malls made it obsolete in the mid-20th century. The dollar store did not invent the low-cost small-box format. It resurrected it and pointed it at exactly the towns the supermarket boom of the 1960s and 70s eventually left behind. Let's put a number on the lot. Dollar General alone operates close to 21,000 stores in the United States and Mexico. Dollar Tree operates over 9,300. That is roughly 30,000 storefronts from two companies before you even count what used to be Family Dollar. For comparison, Walmart, the largest retailer on earth, operates a few thousand U.S. locations. Dollar General has more individual stores than Walmart, Target, Kroger, and Costco combined. And here is the detail that should stop you. Dollar General has publicly stated that 75% of the U.S. population already lives within 5 miles of one of its stores. 3 out of 4 Americans within 5 miles of a store that, by design, does not sell fresh meat, fresh produce, or a full grocery basket in most locations. So here is the catch. This is not simply dollar stores are winning. Multiple economists have now found something more specific and more troubling. Researchers at the USDA's Economic Research Service, working with economists at the University of Connecticut and North Dakota State, studied what actually happens to a neighborhood after a dollar store moves in. Published in December 2023 and summarized by USDA in May 2024, the finding was this: after a dollar store opens nearby, independent grocery stores become measurably more likely to close. Employment at the grocery stores that survive drops by roughly 4%. Their sales drop by nearly 6%. And the effect is not evenly spread. In rural communities, the impact is roughly 3 times larger than in cities, and it does not fade quickly. The researchers tracked it lasting 5 years or more. Economists call this a form of predatory format competition. A small, low-overhead store entering a thin market and undercutting a full-service grocer just enough to push it under without ever replacing what it offered. Now, to be fair, and a more recent 2025 study from the University of Florida found the picture is not uniform everywhere. Its authors found the damage concentrates specifically in neighborhoods that had only one grocery store to begin with. Take out that one store, and there is nothing left. In areas with more grocery competition already, the effect was much smaller. That nuance matters. This is not dollar stores destroy every neighborhood. It is dollar stores are especially dangerous to the neighborhoods that had the least room to lose anything. Here is the part almost nobody explains. Dollar stores are not profitable in these towns. Despite being small, they are profitable because they are small. A typical Dollar General runs 7,500 to 8,500 square feet, a fraction of a normal supermarket. Under the standard build-to-suit model widely used across the industry, a developer builds the store and leases it back to the company. Analysts estimate Dollar General itself puts up as little as $250,000 in fixtures and opening inventory, while the developer carries the multi-million-dollar construction cost. Stock the shelves with 10 to 12,000 items instead of a supermarket's 30,000 plus. Staff it with 2 or 3 employees per shift instead of dozens. Run a private label margin on everything from paper towels to canned vegetables. Multiply by 20,000 locations, and you have built one of the most efficient retail machines in American history. The efficiency is real, but so is the cost of it. And that cost shows up in two places nobody puts on the sign out front. First, the workforce. Dollar General employs close to 194,000 people. In October 2022, it became the first retailer placed in OSHA's Severe Violator Enforcement Program. Since 2017, the company has faced over $15 million in federal workplace safety fines. In July 2024, it signed a $12 million settlement with the U.S. Department of Labor, one requiring hazards to be fixed within 48 hours or face penalties up to $500,000 per violation. Part of why those violations kept happening traces back to the same efficiency model that makes the stores so cheap to run. A 2020 NBC News investigation reported stores routinely staffed by a single employee per shift, sometimes a lone manager working 70 to 90 hours a week for a salary reported around $37,000 a year. Fewer staff is lower overhead. It is also, reporters found, a documented safety liability, from blocked fire exits to a store simply being an easier target when only one person is inside. Second, the pricing itself is not always what the name promises. In November 2023, Wisconsin's Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection audited 238 Dollar General stores across the state. 9% of scanned items rang up more than the shelf price, overcharging customers by an average of 17% per item. Dollar General paid the state $850,006 in fines. And Fortune's February 2024 reporting on shrinkflation found dollar store categories among the worst offenders for shrinking package sizes. Toilet paper prices up nearly 35% since 2019, with roughly a third of that increase coming purely from smaller packaging, not higher unit cost. A widely cited 2022 investigation compared chicken pricing and found it running 52% more expensive per pound at Dollar General than at the cheapest nearby competitor. To be fair to the other side of this, an academic price comparison study published in December 2018 found that 84 to 90% of matched items actually were cheaper at dollar stores than at nearby supermarkets. The two things are not contradictory. Dollar stores can beat supermarkets on many individual items, while still being a worse deal on the specific categories, like meat, produce, and paper goods, where package downsizing and reduced competition let them quietly raise the effective price. Cheap is not the same as fair, and in a town with no other option, the difference between the two stops being optional. Since around 2018, dozens of American cities and towns have pushed back with zoning law. Tulsa, Oklahoma required new dollar stores to sit at least a mile from an existing one in 2018. Fort Worth, Texas passed a 2-mile separation rule in December 2019. Birmingham, Alabama created a healthy food overlay district the same year, covering nearly 70% of the city. Stonecrest, Georgia banned new small box discount stores outright in November 2019. In February 2024, Chicago's City Council voted 42-7 to bar new small box discount stores from opening within a mile of another store under the same ownership. And it is not only big cities. In June 2024, the small town of Joseph, Oregon, population under 1,000, passed an emergency ordinance banning chain formula stores, driven almost entirely by a citizen group that called itself, simply, No Dollar General. In Abita Springs, Louisiana, public backlash over an approved Dollar General design pushed the town council to pass a commercial building moratorium in June 2022, then extended twice into the following year. And Kansas City, Kansas, has run a formal dispersal policy since 2016, requiring any new small box variety store to sit roughly 2 miles from an existing one or clear a special use permit review. A single store town took on a 20,000 store company, and in dozens of places now, it won. None of this means never shop at a dollar store. It means shopping like you now understand the mechanism. The bigger lesson is this. When a company with tens of billions in annual revenue can outcompete a family grocer using nothing but store size, staffing, and real estate structure, the winner is not better. It is simply built for a different game. 1. The small grocer was never actually invited to play fairly. And that is really what this channel is about. Not telling you a store is good or evil, showing you the mechanism underneath the price tag. So the next decision you make with your money is one you actually chose, instead of 130,000 identical storefronts quietly made for you. You cannot personally reverse a 2-decade retail strategy, but you can stop being the person it was designed to work on without noticing. Check the unit price. Know which categories are genuinely a deal and which ones only look like one. And if your town still has an independent grocer, that unit price habit is exactly what keeps them worth choosing. Subscribe for the next price decoded breakdown and drop in the comments. Does your town have a dollar store within 5 miles? And did your grocery store survive it?